Alright there geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show, and let's face facts here. When it comes to licensed video games, you know, the ones based on movies, TV shows and early civilization cave paintings, most of them are absolute tepid bin juice. I mean, just look at Lord of the Rings Gollum, Marvel's Avengers and Mammoth Hunt 4, The Revenge of Cave Stickman as examples of this. I wonder if my editor Mark actually Googled that last game to see if there's any footage. I'm a right stinker. However, we're not here to cast an appraising eye over the quality of this subgenre of games today. No, my friend, for instead we're going to ask one question and one question only. How the hell is this connected to the original source material? So let's have a chat. As I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 licensed video games that are nothing like the original. Number 8, Brothers N64. So, let's play a quick game right off the bat. Can you guess what video game I'm talking about based on the following actions you can do in said game? Ready? Okay. Punch skeletons, avoid man-eating plants, destroy a tree haunted by an evil spirit. Answers in. Oh, did you guess Maximo for the PS2? Oh, good deep cut there, my friend. I like your moxie, but no, I wish we were talking about that game, but instead, oh, what's that, Mark? You've just pointed out the fact that they've heard me talk about the game in the title's entry, so it's ruined the premise of the entire little mini-game that I'm doing here. Yeah, probably should have seen that coming. And speaking of abject disappointment, let's talk about the fresh hell that was Blues Brothers for the N64. I wish I was dead. Jesus Christ, what the hell is this? Well, I'll tell you what, it's not anything like the original source material, which, lest we not forget, originated as a straight-laced blues musical act which then morphed into a road trip comedy before becoming straight-up ass with Blues Brothers 2000. None of these aspects, outside of being pure ass that is, are present in this 3D platformer, especially not the magical plants and evil swamps that this game has you trudging your way through. Honestly, there's so little to connect this to the Blues Brothers that you could legitimately switch out any reference to them and the game would work absolutely fine as a generic and rather shoddy platformer. I tell you, this game is than shit. And if you couldn't already tell that from the litany of horrors that Mark is now displaying as gameplay on the screen for you so far, just take a look at the ending of this game, in which you save your friends in order to perform some blues songs without your band members. Honestly, what was the point of rescuing them if the session musicians are going to take centre stage? And yeah, I don't know why I care so much either. I can only assume that the sheer oddity of this game has actually broken my brain, because it is nothing like the original source material. Number 7, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game. Ah, Middle-earth, it's a lovely place, isn't it? Well, assuming you can get on board with all of the orcs, goblins, the terrifying Nazgul, massive spiders, and well, just enough bodies of water to make me start whispering, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah, that was a drowning pool joke in 2025. You can't stop me. Somebody probably should though. In fact, now that I think about it, living in any area but the Shire seems like an utter drag. So I'll tell you what, Bilbo, why don't you shove that quest for the ring right up your own, because I'm staying here to play Tales of the Shire instead. Here in Tales, you live the life of a hobbit in XL fashion by fishing, chilling out down the pub, and of course, eating enough to give you heartburn through the bloody screen. There is no epic adventuring here, no evil eye casting its gaze over the village, and certainly no time to talk because I've barely finished breakfast and I don't want to miss 11s. If you're looking for something that captures the charm and near fetish levels of food appreciation, then this is the game for you, as it is cozier than cozy, and it's all warm smiles and apple pies, albeit totally being at odds with the war raging on and political turmoil that the books definitely formed their backbone with. Still, fun looking game. Number 6, Yokai Buster Ruka no Daibuken. Now you might be looking at the name of this game and thinking, what the fresh hell are you on about, you snowball with eyes? And yes, you'll be probably questioning things even further upon seeing footage of this game in action, but fret not. Much like a rather brazen shoplifter explaining things to the underpaid security officer, don't worry pal, I'm going somewhere with this. So this game, believe it or not, is in fact actually a tie-in game to the Jetsons of all things. You know, that American sci-fi comedy kids cartoon show? And this game debuted over here in the West as the Jetsons' invasion of the Planet Pirates. And it saw George and his family fight against these new enemies in a cute and cartoony way. And to the shock of many, it was actually really bloody good. So good, in fact, that when it came time for Yokai Buster to make their debut into the gaming world, Planet Pirates was put forward as the foundations on which to expand upon. After months of cutting and editing, Yokai Buster hit the scene to positive reviews, telling the tale of an over-the-top and very violent teenager demon girl. As a result, most gamers were none the wiser that what they were playing was in fact something incredibly far removed from the original source material, because, I mean, how would you guess that this teenage demon girl was originally a dad with ungrateful kids and a robot that he was clearly desperate to do the dirty with? Oh, come on, do not deny me this. The signs were there, wake up people. He had a robo fetish, he was a skitari, he was an admech, he wanted to make love to the toaster. Number 5. Ecks versus Sever. Now don't go scratching your little brain raw to the core with this next one, as if you don't know about Ecks versus Sever, then do not worry. Nobody is expecting you to remember this glacial-sized turd. Whilst having a name sounding like a Pokemon battle, this was actually an action movie about nanomachines and was stitched together with such awful choreography that the Dead or Alive movie looked competent by comparison. It hit the cinemas, filled its trousers, and then waddled off to die in the alleyway outside. And yet, it still managed to launch alongside a video game for the Game Boy Advance. Now here's the thing, a shoddy movie getting a tie-in game on the limited hardware of the Game Boy Advance? Oh, you can practically taste the stank that this combo could and rightly should give off, right? Well, here's the thing, the tie-in game is absolutely nothing like the source material because, to be absolutely blunt, the video game is actually good. You see, this film holds a rather terrible honour of being one of the very few perfect 0 scores on Rotten Tomatoes, meaning that you could have handed me a Game Boy Advance box with a trapped IBS fart in and things would have been a slight improvement. So for this game to not just be competent but actually amazingly enjoyable, well, colour me surprised. The combat is constant, the environments are fun to navigate, and the graphics are surprisingly detailed, especially for this hardware, meaning that Ecks vs Sever shines on the smaller screen while it absolutely died a death on the silver one. Number 4. John Wick Hex. Now, as we all know by now, there are a few certainties in life, namely death, taxes, and do not, I repeat, do not mess with John Wick's animal friends. Hell, I even carry around a spare few dog poop bags with me at all times so that I could volunteer to pick up his pup's steaming mess if it would keep me off of his notably long hit list. And if there's one thing that we also know for certain, it's that John Wick movies are high-octane action sequences filled to the brim with split-second life or death situations that our hero must navigate without a moment's hesitation. Which makes it all the more strange when you remember that John Wick Hex exists, a game in which you can take your sweet-ass time planning your next move. Now, to be fair, the action here is relentless and you'll be planning your timings on the edge of your seat, but to have things play out like a tactics game over a more traditional Max Payne affair sure is strange to say the least. Plus, because of this more granular approach, Hex also loses a lot of that balletic choreography that the films are known for, with Wick and enemies now routinely just kind of wiggling past gunfire and then bumping into one another and then playing out the same 3 or 4 combat sequences. Now, it's not a bad game for sure, but it's clear that the impressive strategy elements do not connect with the visuals seamlessly. And for many, this meant that Hex was relegated to next in the cheese counter queue. Number 3, Sailor Zombie. Oh dear, what's this? Oh, it's the evil finger temple of doom once more appearing to tell you that I've stretched the premise of this list to its wafer-thin levels. And indeed, I've really gone off on a tangent with this one because I'm going to talk to you about Sailor Zombie, an arcade game based on a Japanese pop supergroup. Yes, You can thank me later. So this is AKB48, or Akihabara 48, a huge live music act that is honestly utterly brilliant and bizarre in equal measure. You see, there's actually a huge roster of idols that make up this act, and they regularly rotate in and out of the lineup, and at the current time of recording, it's made up of 44 regular performers. And they somehow got a video game, and somehow this video game has nothing to do with being an idol or even managing this supergroup. Instead, Sailor Zombie is a game in which the world has been taken over by zombies and that you need to cure them with a special gun that shoots the antidote. Along the way, you'll meet the members of AKB48 and can rescue them from danger, with your goal being to save all of the roster and then to go back to wondering whether the revenue gets split 44 different ways and how utterly chaotic the staff Christmas parties must be for them. Why zombies? Why a light gun game? Why are the dance sequences in this game so utterly horrifying? I can't tell you, friends. I cannot tell you, but just know that very few people likely guessed that a tie-in game would have you shooting the members of this supergroup in the face over and over. Number 2, Snoopy versus the Red Baron. Now, despite looking like somebody cast an aging spell on my eyes and eyes alone, I'm not actually old enough to have grown up with the likes of Snoopy blaring out from my TV, or as it was known back in the day, the boob tube. Still, there are a few things that I do know about this show, namely that Snoopy was kind of a dick and that Charlie Brown is the saddest sad sack to have ever walked this earth. I mean, this kid is an absolute vibe killer. So, when it came to how to adapt this show into a video game, chances are that you probably think of a generic platformer, or maybe even a point-and-click adventure, right? Well, instead, the developers Smart Bomb Interactive decided that they would instead adapt to the incredibly infrequent moments where Snoopy would daydream and fancy himself as a World War I fighter pilot and then take on the Red Baron. Obviously! I mean, to be honest, I'm not complaining, and I'd much rather shoot down planes than watch Charlie Brown miss the football kick for the 50th time, or click to hose down Pigpen, the stinky bastard. But still, for the game to be based around this 1% of the show is utterly mad. What else is mad is just how good this and its spiritual sequel Snoopy Flying Aces are, because honestly, the arcade shooting, the fast action and the chunky graphics make this an utter breeze to play. It's just a shame that Flying Aces, the much superior title, is locked to the dead Xbox Live Arcade tomb, because that's actually a really good game that I wish people could play today. And number 1, Mars Attracts. Upon realising that this wasn't actually the Martian dating sim of my Red Planet dreams, recently released Mars Attracts hit me with another shocking revelation, that this title, based on the quirky and irreverent Mars Attacks film, was in fact going to be a theme park management simulator. I'm sorry, what? You're telling me that you resurrected this long-forgotten IP not to make a more chaotic and violent version of Destroy All Humans, but instead went down the route of theme parks? I mean, to be honest, in a franchise in which a man's head gets stitched onto a dog, this shouldn't seem so weird. So yeah, cool, I'll trust the process and see how it all plays out, but I'm still pretty sure that this was an angle that no one saw coming. Alongside all of your usual, well, usual-ish attractions like slides, Ferris wheels and roller coasters is the ability to travel back in time and abduct humans to put on display as a sort of people-based petting zoo. It's a neat idea, albeit one that kind of undoes all of the original film's established lore, because they were meant to be arriving on Earth for the first time in that film, right? But hey, who cares about the source material, right? Here's hoping that the game is more and not cack. Oh, very funny wordplay there, Jules. When the game drops, probably now? I'm recording this in advance, so yeah, probably be out by now. Let me know if it's good, if you played it. And if it's not, let's just bury this in the desert with E.T. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video games that were nothing like the source material. So let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you want to chat to me further, you can do so by going over to Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, and you can follow my lovely editor Mark over on his social medias there as well. But before I go, my friends, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about video games that were nothing like the source material, sometimes change is a good thing. Sometimes we can take a look at our life and the decisions we've made up until this point and say, you know what, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to live a better life. And at the end of the day, That's all I want for you, to live a healthier and happier life. Take that time to analyze the situations that you're in, gain that bit of perspective, and realize that sometimes maybe we do need to make changes to ourselves. Maybe we need to work out more. Maybe we need to treat ourselves kinder. Maybe we need to improve in certain areas or stop doing certain things. But remember this above all else, you're not alone in those decisions. Friends, family, and professionals in the support industry, we want you to live a healthy and happy life. Okay, so if you ask for help, it will hopefully allow you to get through those problems and changes a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. So just remember, you're not alone, my friend. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.